hey, I don't know if I want to be Jimmy the Greek. Like, everybody's like, well, what are you thinking about Thursday night's game? Philadelphia is hosting Minnesota. People are coming to me, TC, now to know.
Coming to you?
Yeah.
You're confused? You don't know what
just
to do?
Just because I've published my picks and I've been on somewhat of a roll.
Your 25 large has gotten larger.
Remember, I put my heart ahead of my wallet with that whole Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yeah, but you're happy about it. You're like,
because
I'm good.
I had Buffalo, and then as I was watching it, I felt so sorry for the green New York team that I ended up switching allegiances to the detriment of my 25 large.
25 small.
Anyway, there's a lot more going on at Parx Casino than just sportsbook, although that's a lot of fun. World-class entertainment. The headliners include the Pointer Sisters, Buddy Guy, the Spinners, Gladys Knight, and Air Supply. Lost in Love. Is that Air Supply? Lost in love and I don't know much. I don't know much at all. Parx Casino, the ultimate destination for action, excitement, entertainment, and free parking, valet parking, and electric. If only Jennifer Granholm had gone to Parx Casino with her caravan, the energy secretary wouldn't have gotten jammed up because they have electric chargers. For all things Parx Casino, visit parxcasino.com. Parx Casino and Sportsbook. This is how you win. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for more of the headlines from the Smerconish.com Wednesday edition of the newsletter. I've already reprimanded TC for the thumbnail that was used for today's YouTube conversation because I, too, find it objectionable. So there you go.
I love how you are laying the groundwork. You're like, no, I have it on camera. I have it on radio that I said that it was TC. You put it in Slack immediately.
Did you approve of it?
Sneaky put it in Slack so that as
part of the record.
Like, exactly.
Plaintiff Exhibit 54, Your Honor.
Don't think I don't know exactly what you're doing.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about the thumbnail for today's YouTube, which was one of
Chatterbait Gate.
Right. Chatterbait Gate.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, so
I'm on her side. I just want to say from the outset, I'm on her side.
You're on Susanna Gibbon's side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
Are you?
No.
Oh, whoa.
No, I'm
well,
not.
What are you saying?
Because I think that if you are going to have sex for money, you cannot
Tips. You know, like you're not obligated. A little something for the effort.
Michael, it honestly, it goes back to our kids and saying
I'm
like
performing in pain. I still have problems with my tooth extraction.
So laughing is not.
No, don't make me laugh is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, my point is that it is. I don't understand. You do you. You want to have sex with your husband in front of strangers? Go for it.
Right. I worry about the kids
I have
too.
Zero problem with that.
Yeah.
It's not the kids. It's not even that.
Her kids.
I'm not. Listen to me. I am saying it is a judgment call of if you are running for public office. Do you really think that's not going to come out? Do you really think that's not going to come out?
Well,
Come on.
let me say this. So the poll question today, and you can attest to this, was going to be whether this helps or hurts her candidacy. And then David Ignatius publishes what he published in the Washington Post about Biden ought to step aside. And given that I've spoken of this issue and we published the Shane Inspector piece and there was the Andrew Sullivan piece, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I thought, like, of course I have to do that today. But I may do that poll question tomorrow. Jack Schaefer at Politico wrote the following. Politicians have long transgressed polite society's sexual boundaries. Members of Congress always seem to be getting busted for hiring prostitutes. A number of members have been convicted of having sex with underage pages. You remember that? In the 80s, one lawmaker, Representative Barney Frank, lived with a male escort who said he ran his prostitution service out of Frank's apartment. In the 90s, Congress could have passed for a swingers club as a gavel of high-ranking members, including Bob Barr, Dan Burton, Robert Livingston, Newt Gingrich, Henry Hyde, Pete Domenici, engaged in sexual affairs. And of course, in 1998, President Bill Clinton collapsed the day's existing moral standards when he did the same with an intern inside the White House. Taboo busting among politicians extended into the 2000s. For a couple of examples A married Donald Trump allegedly had sex with a porn star and a Playboy Playmate of the year, and money was exchanged to hush those stories. One-time Representative Anthony Weiner was jailed and placed on the sex offender list for sending sexually explicit texts and images to a minor, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, let me just stop and ask this question. Given what I've just shared with you, is there more of this that goes with being an elected official? Is there something about the personality?
Well, it's so funny that you just said that because I'm following the comments on YouTube, and Sean Nichols just wrote, let's go old school and keep it behind closed doors and lie about it. You know, like real politicians. Such a good point. I think it's a hubris thing. I think it's an ego thing. I think people who think that they're, you know, I think it takes a healthy, good ego to go and think that people want to hear what you have to say and to know your opinion and to have you, you know, sort of in charge. So maybe it's part of that. I just cannot get over the bad judgment.
I have a theory.
Not for doing it, for thinking it wouldn't come out. You know me, I'm all about whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do.
I think what separates the politicians, I think there's more of this that goes on with them because by definition, they are risk takers. They are willing to put their name out there and run for office. And that risk acceptance by this theory, which I'm just drafting in my head as I'm speaking, extends into their personal lives.
I hear a commentary coming on.
Maybe. Back to Jack Schaefer. But never before Gibson's case, she's the Virginia nurse attendant, but never before Gibson's case has a politician's hot video action spread on the internet. While the Post story, the Washington Post story, might seem to spell the nurse practitioner's political ruin, we shouldn't be so hasty to write her off. This is what I was thinking last night when I was going to make it the poll question. Rather than sulking away in shame and dropping out of the race, Gibson has gone on the offensive, protesting the leak of the sex performance and prospecting previously undiscovered legal territory by calling the distribution of the videos an illegal invasion of her privacy and a sex crime against her.
That is fascinating.
If you hold yourself out as a performer, as the allegation is she and her husband did, right? Working for tips for streamers, can you...
For thousands of people. There were she had thousands
5,700, I think.
Right.
Can you turn around and say that your privacy has been invaded? What do you think about that?
So the video purportedly was then posted on a different site, not one that she agreed to. I think that we're getting into the weeds of a situation, but it's an interesting point.
I mean, and then a political opponent dropped it to the Washington Post.
But it's not like a personal sex video between Ms. Gibson and her husband was leaked.
Right. I'd feel differently.
I would feel completely differently.
Yeah, I'd be totally on their side. Like, oh my God.
1,000% on their side.
Yeah.
My issue is just, wait a minute.
You took the risk is what you're saying.
You're doing it for cash. Do you really think it wasn't going to come out? Come on.
Okay, but
come on.
Yeah, but she did it for the cash, for the benefit of those who were then streaming. She didn't do it for the benefit of the Washington Post readership.
Hit the send key. I'm sorry, Michael. No, come on.
That's her business. That's her side hustle.
It's her side hustle that can be made public.
What does it do to her campaign?
What?
What does it do to her campaign?
That I do not know. I do not know.
That could be tomorrow's poll question.
Right.
I went through like 4 or 5 poll questions. Anyway, all right, there you go. There's the story. Read more about it at Smerconish.com. More headlines now from today's edition of the newsletter. Yes, the poll question. Blame David Ignatius. Don't blame me. Blame me a little bit because 11 days ago, this is pretty much the conversation I began on CNN. The wording of it comes out of Ignatius's headline. Should President Biden step aside for 2024? And as, you know, Mark Halpern said, the cat has now been let out of the box or some such thing. I mean,
Pandora was also part of that.
Everybody has been talking about it, whispering about it. What makes this different is that Ignatius is a credible person. He's the foreign affairs writer for the Washington Post. It's no longer a conversation that's like sub rosa. Now people are having it openly and they can lay it off. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of yesterday. I made the observation that the New York Times had a story about how Joe Biden's Vietnam departure press conference was now being buzzed about in conservative circles because he was wiped out. He was exhausted. That was obvious. And he said some things that in the light of day just weren't the best.
We played several clips from it.
Exactly. But the way the New York Times couched it was not to straight on address Biden and his fitness and how was he in Vietnam. Instead, it was, the conservatives are buzzing about this. And my point is, with regard to Ignatius's column, today people will be saying, well, I'm talking about it only because, David Ignatius has written this. Now they have cover.
Interesting.
Now they have cover to have that dialogue.
I have to say, Michael, you were on this
totally
when people were like,
and
I can't believe you're saying
TC,
it.
people were, yes, they were pissed.
Oh boy, yeah,
they were upset because I and what
I did
on
radio and TV.
Yeah, but what I did was
family members were upset. Yeah, everybody was upset.
11 days ago on CNN, I delivered the commentary. From a timing standpoint, I gamed out the clock and I said, hey, this has to come to a head soon because otherwise Democrats are going to be locked in with Biden or an 11th hour switcheroo. It'll have to be Kamala Harris. And now everybody's having that dialogue. So maybe David Ignatius was watching me when I was delivering. Who knows? Yesterday's poll result, 17,226. Should the U.S. use frozen Iranian funds as leverage to secure the release of American detainees, even if it means releasing detained Iranians in the U.S.? 60.45% said yes. For the benefit of those who are daily subscribers to the Smerconish newsletter, you have a fabulous Rob Rogers exclusive for us
so good
cartoon about Elon Musk. And you can attest to this, TC. I now have in the studio.
Yes.
I love these cartoons so much. We don't have a color printer here, but I have a color printer at home.
Yes.
And I'm printing them all out and hanging them all up.
Yeah, you are. And it's so funny because on one of the angles on YouTube, you can see behind you where they're hung. And they just make you happy,
Yeah, they bring me joy.
They do bring you joy.
Yeah, Marie Kondo,
yeah.
KonMari.
Yeah.
They stay, at least for now.
For now.
Yeah.
You can rotate
What am I going to do with them all? Because every day we have
book.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe more to come. Maybe, I don't know.
Paper the wall?
I love supporting these cartoonists. And if you become a subscriber, and it doesn't even cost you money, if you become a subscriber to the Smerconish.com daily newsletter, you're supporting me so that I can support them. Truly, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So subscribe to the newsletter, for crying out loud.
Please
if you've
keep
not
Michael happy.
already
Thank
done
you.
so. Okay, in the newsletter today, there is one of our stories. It's toward the bottom of the positioning. You must look at the photograph. This is wild. George W. Bush, President Bush, 17 years ago, is in Russia, and he's at a dinner meeting. And there's a guy leaning over and serving him. It's Prigozhin, the Wagner chief who was recently killed in that plane, quote unquote, crash in Russia, the Putin opponent. Remember, he was an oligarch and he made his money, they said, among other things, from a catering business. He was Putin's caterer. And there is an image of him serving dinner to George W. Bush.
Was he an oligarch then? How
I don't know.
fast did he make this money?
I don't know.
I mean, that's wacky.
Crazy. Yeah, Putin's chef.
I don't get it. He had to have been some kind of, I don't know, spy or something, right?
Former President Bush says he doesn't remember meeting the man in person. Quote, all I know is I survived.
I mean, that's the bottom
I survived.
line.
But
Right.
It just lets you know, like, you go over to Russia and have dinner with Putin, you have no idea who's going to be serving your chow. What else? Lauren Boebert.
What's going on with that?
The Colorado congresswoman was removed, escorted out of the Beetlejuice musical in Denver. She caused a disturbance. What was she doing? She was vaping, singing, and recording, all of the above. If she was vaping, was she smoking weed?
Not necessarily.
But you wouldn't, what would she be vaping? Some like flavored thing?
Sure. Like, remember when we used to go up to SiriusXM in New York and before, I mean, I'm sure they can't vape anymore, but before the law caught up with them, they're one of the guys and it was like a grape flavor, but it's nicotine.
You think it was just like a nicotine vape?
I cannot imagine.
If it were weed, do you think it would be in the story? Colorado, it would be legal, right?
It would be legal. It wouldn't be legal in the theater, I assume. I assume that she was kicked out because vaping was not legal in the theater, whether it was weed or nicotine. But I bet she was doing, I can't.
The incident report states that after receiving...
Classy is what I'm saying to you.
The intermission warning, about 5 minutes into the second act, security officials received another complaint about the patrons being loud and the time that they were recording, taking pictures. Recording is not permitted at the shows. The report quotes one of the ushers. They told me they would not leave. That sounds like Lauren Boebert, doesn't it?
Sure.
I told them that
the video of them walking out, she's still protesting.
I'm sure she's thrilled about it.
Yeah.
The patrons said that they would not leave. I told them I would be going to the Denver police. They said, go get them.
Oh, boy.
So there's that. All right. This story from the BBC today, under the headline, I think that we have on it, "Why is his face in my cleavage?" Holy smokes. This is a study of physicians, surgeons, female surgeons subject to sexual harassment in the UK. The BBC has spoken to women who were sexually assaulted in the operating theater while surgery took place.
This is crazy.
I know. I'm never going to look at my colonoscopy the same way. Like, what's going on while I'm all groggy, you know? According to this, the analysis by the University of Exeter, the University of Surrey, and the Working Party on Sexual Misconduct in Surgery, nearly 2/3 of women surgeons who responded to the research said that they had been the target of sexual harassment, and 1/3 had been sexually assaulted by colleagues in the past 5 years. Women say they fear reporting the incidents will damage their careers, yada, yada. They lack confidence that the NHS is going to take action.
I was floored by this. I mean, the numbers are staggeringly high. Hopefully a report like this will be a little bit of sunshine, be a little disinfectant, and clear that out. But I just, I am constantly amazed, and I shouldn't be, that in this era of how past Me Too are we. We're so past Me Too that there's been like a backlash of Me Too. We went through Me Too, and then it was like anti-Me Too, and now we're back to Me Too. But there's an awareness that there wasn't 10 years ago. And the fact that this is happening within the last 5 years, I think, is staggering.
I have a theory about this. So 2/3 of the women who responded to the research said they'd been the target of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a stunning number.
Yes.
These are female surgeons in the UK. But maybe there's confirmation bias. Maybe the survey comes out and you look at it and what's this? It's a survey about sexual harassment. And if you haven't been sexually harassed, you continue on and go about your day. But if you have been sexually harassed, you're like, damn right, and you're more inclined to fill it out.
I guess, but that still means that you've been sexually harassed.
Yeah, but it might not mean that 2/3 of those have been sexually harassed, right? 2/3 of the respondents is what I'm stressing. It doesn't mean 2/3 of all female surgeons.
Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Still too many.
Does Brady go to the Jets?
No.
Does Brady go to the
answer
Jets?
is definitively
Would that
not,
be
but what a great headline.
unbelievable? Yeah, great headline from CBS News. There are already fans and pundits begging Tom Brady. He had to at least think of it, right? He had to at least. Oh yeah,
Come
definitely.
On. The first person I saw that was Kaepernick. Everybody was talking about Kaepernick.
Come on. I mean, I feel like we've been talking about that for 10 years. He must be too old. He must be too
Brady.
old. Then again, Brady. Yeah. Then again, Brady.
For what you're saying.
Apropos of not much other than I saw this photograph of Giselle coming out of the gym. She was like totally ripped.
I saw that picture too, and I almost wondered if it was her. I guess it was her, but she looked unusual.
She looked like she was
jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, her arms were amazing.
Totally
toned.
jacked.
Yeah.
So there you go.
She's a beautiful woman.
All right. Well, anyway, there's a lot of great stuff in the Smerconish.com Wednesday edition of the newsletter. Go online right now and you can look at it. You can subscribe. Will you also like and subscribe and voice your objections to TC's selection of the thumbnail used
with yourself.
For this
Stop
video?
It right now. Also, everybody.
Where did you find that picture of me with a mask?
Everyone on YouTube, please also comment on Michael's splendor today.
Yeah.
What is it? Fall? It's like 85 degrees outside. You're wearing a turtleneck and a wool blazer.
The weather has turned.
Not yet.
Turtleneck season is here.
It is here.
Turtleneck season is here. Get used to it. I'm not tall enough to sport the full turtleneck. This is like the only one that I have. I've got all these mock tees from LL Bean. By the way, a wonderful value, like $29.
You look fantastic. It's just, hot outside.
I'm cool as a cucumber. You think this is premature?
Yes.
Okay, you who wear like white in December.
Winter whites. What are you kidding me?
Okay, not after Labor Day.
White turtleneck.
Not in here. I'm not. I don't wear women's fashion.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
All right.
no, women should not wear white after Labor Day. That's the rule, and everybody knows it.
I am now going to wear white for the next 7 months.
Okay.
Okay. Good. On
that note, so long.